Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors. This is your breakfast bankroll for Sunday, August 14th, 2022. Sunday fun day for us at ECSI VIPs. For the public and degens, we call it Quicksand Sunday. You wake up with a big melon, you're hungover. It's been a rough week, rough weekend. You're down a boatload of units. And then you said, I ain't paying this man this week. What the hell am I going to do? So you come up with all these parlays and then just shrink the board, find the best three, play them flat, tie them up in parlays, yada, yada, yada. So then you look, and let's just say you're down 5-6 units. And then you wake up Monday morning and, because your goal was just to get even. You just want to get even. I'm not paying the guy. But if you are up 3 or 4 units, most people think it's a free swing. Oh, I'm going to crush this guy this week. He is going to hate to see this figure on Monday. And then usually what happens is that you piss all that money away, and then you end up going in at 7, 8 o'clock on the late game, which is the favorite in the over that everyone does, and you lose. So then instead of collecting 3, 4, 5 units, you end up paying the man a unit, unit and a half, 2 units. Or you have a 3-in-1 weekend. You're basically even for the week. You're up a quarter, you're down a quarter. You sprinkle in a little action parlay, is what we like to say here. Call it a day. Go to the beach. Go school shopping for the kids. Have a barbecue. Play some horseshoes. How about this? Take the wife to brunch. Scott. And you do the good thing and you get ready, because tomorrow's a new day, a new week, a new beginning, a new start, halfway through August. So it is what it is. So without further ado, let's bring him in. The man from the Palm Tree State himself, the one, the only, Mr. Beam 'em Up, Scotty Webb. Morning, sir.
Good morning, sir. It's getting down here to the end of the year in baseball. Playoff runs are starting to happen a little bit. NFL obviously started, so we had a full weekend of that. Not real football, but whatever, it's football. And it is what it is, right? So things are getting right in the gambling world, so to speak, where we're out here doing the things we like to do. And I guess the people that have been on the sidelines for a while aren't on the sidelines anymore because football's around the corner, and that is what it is, right?
Well, I assume a lot of those guys are waking up and they're just favorite playing the over trains and the overs. We were talking Saturday morning that they were 8-0 in preseason overs. Then yesterday, I think they had another winning day. I think they were 4 or 5 units over that. Some exciting games. I haven't been watching them. It's more from a outside looking in. They're on the background. I'm just keeping a big eye on injuries. We talked yesterday. The Jets almost had a catastrophic injury with Zach Wilson. It looks like he saved that one. Might be out 2 to 4 weeks. They don't know yet officially. I was already saying they should have been on the horn with Jimmy G. I mean, Salah has worked with Jimmy G, even though Salah was the defensive guy, but he knows him. So that would have been a bridge. So throwing in the towel for the season. Drake London from Atlanta initially, rookie wide receiver from USC, taken off the field, but he looks like he escaped big injury. So again, the preseason, it's one of these damned if you do, damned if you don't. A lot of the big stars don't play. We've talked about this, Scotty, at length, that the third week used to be the dress rehearsal. That used to be guys play first half, go to the locker room, and then you play the next possession, and then preseason's over with. Now that there's only 3 games, correct? I mean, it's just a matter of, again, the week prep coming up. So, for instance, let's just say the Patriots are playing the Saints. Saints come into town on Monday. You practice with them Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. You play the game on Thursday, which that game is meaningless. What you did Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday is the meat and potatoes there. But Vegas puts up the odds, the under-overs, the team totals, whatever you want, and people run to the windows. So,
well, I went to the window a couple of times in preseason, only 3 times so far. 2-1. I played the Raiders on that whatever week 0, whatever the hell they call it, the Hall of Fame game, and then I played the Jets with the winner, and I played the Jaguars with the loser. So I didn't play it all yesterday. I didn't play baseball. I didn't play football. I didn't play anything, and it wasn't for lack of goddamn trying either. I can tell you the only one game that I was in on that I didn't play and I left it on the table was Arizona Diamondbacks yesterday with Gowan on the mound. I liked that matchup. My problem with betting that matchup is that Arizona is not a team that goes out there and scores a lot of runs, and the night before they won 8-0. And I'm like, holy shit, this is going to be like a 2-1 game. So I'm like, I don't need to play a 2-1 game. So I didn't. And what happened? They go and win 6-0. God damn it. So that was what happened to me yesterday. And I didn't play. I was sort of a spectator, which meant I wasn't spectating too much. I was up here working on today. So, that's how things work, right? I mean, you just sit here and do stuff. But I don't know. I'm just going to say this because it pissed me off yesterday. I'm sorry I say that word, but there was listening to that one radio station on whatever they call it, Sports Grid or whatever. They had some guy on there and he was talking about the suspension for Tatis, yeah. And he was telling people that, look, everybody out here is taking these drugs. Everybody's hiding it now. And it's just a fact of the way things are. And I'm like, what the rock are you under? Because it made me mad. It made me mad because he goes, I even did some research and found out, like these guys are just doing this stuff, because they're trying to rehab and get healthy and they're trying to do this and that and speed up their process. I'm like, you don't even know what you're talking about. I mean, the guy had ringworm and he was taking stuff to take care of ringworm. And ringworm is like a rash, but it's a little more serious than that. So he took some shit to take care of this ringworm and he got whatever. I don't believe any of it. But anyway, all that being said, I sat here and I thought, what rock are you under? Right now, if he made it, and he even said it, he said this is rampant in Major League Baseball, and he said it's rampant in all sports. They find ways to hide all this stuff, and everybody and their brother's on these things. And I'm like, no, that happened years ago. They're not on that now, and it's proof is in the pudding. Look at the best players in baseball. They're all young guys. They're not old guys. The old guys fall away to the side, except for, Verlander. But then, a lot of these guys, they just fall away. So it was really what I thought was an uneducated take. And I sit here and go, Jeff, we could be doing so much good work and so many things, having people listen to us and having to hear bullshit like that infuriates me to the nth degree. And then the same 2 guys went on to say, okay, well, the Padres are the play today, right? Because you got Darvish on the mound and they're going to go out there and they're going to beat the crap out of old 40-year-old whatever his name is, Alvarez or whatever for Sanchez for Washington, right? They're only minus, I don't know, 350 or some shit on the road or whatever it was. And I'm sitting here and I'm going, have you guys lost your mind? So I said, I get it. There's a reason for the line to be where it is. I mean, there's a reason for that. And then I said, well, look at the total. Total was 8, right? That was the total in that game, 8. So then they were talking about, okay, well, the minus 1.5 is no good because, you got to pay, minus 175 or minus 200 or whatever it was to get to that number. So they said, that's where you got to go to the alternate lines. then that's where you got to go and say, well, we think the game's going to be 6-2. So they said the best thing to do here was to go and play the Padres to win by 2 or 3 or 4 runs and get whatever odds you can there, because then you're gonna, like, if they didn't win by 4, they could win by 3, and you would get the money, and you would have more money than you had on the -4, and all that bullshit. They wanted you to play a parlay, three-legged parlay for the Padres to win by 3, the Padres to win by 2, and the Padres to win by 4. And I'm like, what? What are these people talking about? And then they go right out and goddamn lose the game outright, for God's sakes. And I sat here and I thought, oh my God, I really, really, really hope people don't listen to bullshit, because it really stinks. And when you find yourself in these spots, you thought you did what you were supposed to because some guy on the radio said something, and he's on a sports network that talks about betting. So you think he's making those bets himself. He ain't making those bets. He don't even know what the hell he's talking about. So he just out there spewing shit. That's what it is. And it pissed me off. So I was like, okay, we need to set some records straight here, but listen to what you need to listen to, and be guided the right way, because you're gonna lose. You're gonna go do all the work that you can possibly do to get the right side on a lot of things, but it doesn't always work out in your favor. So don't do stupid shit too, because the stupid shit's exactly what the books are out there for and make numbers for, and say, hey, this guy's a dumbass. He's going to bet this. Well, Padres are going to win by 5. So I'm going to make it enticing for him, and I'm just going to take his money. So anyway, sorry to rant like that, but a couple of things made me mad yesterday.
Well, I didn't talk to you about, when the breaking news came down. It was funny. My phone blew up. Now, I think you remember. If you don't, I'll tell you, I'm in that fantasy $2,500 entry, and we drafted Bauer, Grayson Rodriguez, and Tatis, and we got 0 at bats and 0 starts from all 3 of them. I mean, to grab the holy grail was phenomenal. Now we're sitting in second place, Scotty. First place is 20,000. Second place is 7,500. Third place is 5,000, and then 4 to 14 is thanks for playing. And we have magically got to second place. The odds of us getting the first, he's got a big lead on, but we got 2 guys on our ass. So Tatis was going to be that final piece to push us over the top to sustain, hopefully second, unless a miracle happened. Now, I have some questions. I tried to dig up and do some research. I tried to, not spew bullshit, because I listen, I don't say shit just to hear myself talk like these other guys. Big platforms, check marks, and whatever they say is gospel and law, which is 99.9% wrong. Okay? So, and I thought of you the whole time here. So I have some questions. He got into his second bike accident in December. Okay? Now, the initial talk, people were saying he was doing that to speed up the process, number 1. Number 2, to hide it from the Padres. And number 3, the lockout. So that's the big word here, was the lockout. Okay? Now, yesterday came out that he was tested positive in late March. Okay? So let's just do some homework here. Let's do some soft lob and volleys here. You played in the MLB. You have this answer. I don't. Okay? Because everyone on gambling Twitter is an expert, and they're talking all this bullshit and nonsense. I have a couple things I'm going to throw at you. Take it all in, process it, and then you analyze it. Number 1. I don't know this answer. You cannot get suspended and have time served as you're rehabbing. Number 1. I don't have that answer, I assume. So, in other words, people said, well, if they knew in March, why didn't they just suspend him? because technically you're suspending a guy that wouldn't be back until August anyways. That's number one. Number two, supposedly that cream prevents the bone from healing. I read that yesterday, which again, I'm not a doctor. I don't know. Number three, the Padres knew all along this was coming down. Therefore, that's why they were hot and horny to get Soto. So he's going to miss Tatis the last 49 games of this year and the first 31 of next year. 80 games unpaid. So technically, he stole 80 games worth of paychecks this year. Technically, which again, I don't have the answers. I assume he was getting paid every other week, like all the rest of them. And then this comes down. So my question to you is, go back in the timeline, process this. Can you, I don't think you can suspend someone when they're on a rehab. Do you think that the Padres already knew this was coming down, therefore they went all in on Soto?
Okay, so a couple of things. I don't think the Padres knew. That's number one. And I'll tell you why in a second. But in regards to a player who is rehabbing, can he get suspended? The answer is yes, he can. And the way he can is because they can get tested. They get tested in the off season. They get tested doing whatever, just a regular routine part of life. So those guys get tested. And just because he's not in uniform on the field doesn't mean that he's not getting paid to rehab. So when they're getting paid on the salary to be doing whatever it is they're doing, it's like say a guy got hurt and he went down and he's playing, and it's not a major star or whatever, but he's rehabbing and he's trying to figure it out, and he's back in AAA trying to get back up to the big leagues. And then he decides, I'm going to do this shit and I'm going to get up there and I'm going to do a lot better. And he gets caught. Well, that's part of what rehab is. It's just you're on the field for a AAA team or whatever. These guys that go to their minor league camps and they work and they do whatever to get work in and all that stuff. And they can get tested there. So yes, they can get suspended. Does it happen? You don't see it hardly ever happen, because I don't think they go find those guys and go trying to get them, but that can happen. That could, there's a possibility of that. Now, if a guy was suspended for, I don't know, say he's, God forbid what I'm going to say, but say he was out there and he beat up his wife or something and he got suspended from the game, and then, okay, he's trying to get better and do all this other stuff, and he took a bunch of stuff. They don't test that guy. They're not testing a guy that's suspended. He's not on the team. He's suspended. He's not getting paid. He's not allowed at the team facility. So he's doing whatever he's doing on his own. Now, they certainly will test him when he comes back to the facility and do all this other stuff. And if they test him there and it gets caught, then he'll get suspended for that. But they don't test a suspended player. Anyway, all that being said, this other stuff, this cream and all that stuff, what I don't buy is the reasoning of what these guys say, the Ryan Brauns of the world and Tatis and these guys that are coming out here and go, well, I was doing this because of this and blah, 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 and all that stuff. Major League Baseball players or any professional athlete has the ability to talk to medical people every day. They're in the dugout, they're in the locker room, they're in the clubhouse, they're right there. And those guys prescribe the things that go to them that they take. And they're not going to give them things that, that everything that a major league team has in their facility is not going to be something that would get a guy suspended for. So if the trainers and the medical staff were involved in this Tatis thing, that's a huge issue and a huge problem because they gave him something that he should be using and he shouldn't have. But that didn't happen. So where things come down is where the player who makes X amount of millions of dollars a year is trying to, I guess, better his body and do whatever to make himself either more healthy or a better player, whatever. Decides to do some of these things on his own and then masks it through some kind of public statement. That's what drives me crazy, because ultimately that's not how it flows. Ultimately, when these guys do that stuff and say these things, they're not being 100% transparent. They are saying, hey, this happened, blah blah blah, I feel bad, blah blah blah, whatever. But when you're on your own doing that stuff, risk doesn't do yourself any good for putting shit in your body or on your body or whatever that you didn't get prescribed by the trainers.
But okay, so I don't understand this then. If it was correct that he tested positive in late March, okay, why did they wait till he was a week away from coming to the MLB and back?
I don't know. I don't think he did. I didn't hear that. That was news to me. So when you said he got tested in late March, but most of the time, none of that stuff works that way. Most of the time, when they test and they test positive, they come right out and tell you that because there's a suspension coming. And I don't know. Maybe he was fighting it. I don't know the answer to that question because typically, if he got tested and he tested positive in March. Typically, and I don't know, it seems weird, right? So if it was in March and they didn't want to announce that he tested positive, and then he served 80 games now as part of it, and then they said, okay, he got suspended, and that's what happened. But that would mean all those games counted that he's missed as a suspension, and it didn't. So his suspension started, that day when he was supposed to go down and play rehab games in the minor league. So I don't know. I personally don't believe he tested positive in March. Now that doesn't mean that he didn't. I don't know. That's part of where we sit here and look at all kinds of things, whether it's sports related or politics or whatever. You're not in the room. You don't have access to the information. You're just adding 1 + 1 to get 2. And sometimes it don't add up that way. And then you try to figure out what's going on behind that and your mind can go crazy. So I just kind of let that kind of stuff go. But in lieu of what your questions were, I don't think the Padres knew. And the reason why I don't think the Padres knew is because I think that they were doing what they wanted to do, because ultimately, if you had Tatis in that lineup with those other guys, I think that you're looking at a team that can compete for the World Series. Without Tatis, they're just a good team again, just like they have been. They're better than they were before they had all those players. But the truth of the matter is they're a superstar short. That's what they are. They're a superstar short. And Tatis is a superstar. Now, I will tell you this. I put something on my Twitter when I first found out about it. Think about what Ryan Braun was after he got caught. Not the same player. And not the same player to Milwaukee's fans, to his teammates, to all that. And I think Tatis is going to be the same thing. I don't think Tatis is ever going to be the same. Tatis is not going to win over San Diego. He's not going to win over his teammates. And I think that there's a spot here. And I know there's a big difference because he's really young. But I will say that he's got some Manny Ramirez in him.
Manny being Manny. I'll close this topic with this: is I reached out to my buddy in San Diego, and these guys are livid. The fact is that he got the extension. He is 23. I know guys in the card business that are just crushed. I mean, they got a lot of money invested in him, in cards, rookie cards, and they spent a lot of money. And you thought Bitcoin dropped real fast. Well, let me just tell you those. And again, there was some questions that I wanted to ask you that made zero sense. Again, that's why I said you can't get suspended for 80 games if you knew you were going to be out for 80 games anyways, rehabbing an injury. So that's why I was wondering if that was an actual fact. I know if you are rehabbing and you start juicing or doing whatever and you get tested and then they pile it on. But I did read in one spot again. I'm not the judge, I'm not the jury, but it was the end of March as we were getting ready, the lockout. There was a lot of questions with Tatis hiding it from San Diego, lockout, when we starting, and the guy, listen, he's a loose cannon. He beats by his own drum. So the good comparison to Manny Ramirez. And you know what? If you asked me before the suspension and this coming down, people would have said Tatis is going to do laps around Manny. Well, I'll just say this. There was probably, in my generation, Manny Ramirez is probably the greatest professional hitter. And if people haven't seen Manny, just YouTube him. That is what you call a professional hitter.
Don't forget to watch him when he played for Cleveland, too.
Oh, goodness gracious.
I mean, Manny was Manny, and he was just that guy. But as a hitter, holy shit, he's one of the best hitters in all of baseball ever. I mean, he really is ever. And then Tatis, I just think is. I think, and my comparison to Ryan Braun maybe is not quite the right thing, because I don't think there's been anybody that's been like this. Because you can look at Cano and all these other guys that, so think about how much time he's going to miss, man. He's going to miss what, a year and a half, almost 2 years of baseball. I think Tatis is never going to be the same player. I don't think he's going to have the same respect. I don't think he's going to have the same, none of that.
And you talk about, the injuries, that shoulder keep popping out, not wanting to get surgery. Maybe we're going to move from short to center. Excuse me. I think moving forward, San Diego knows who their star and their Manny's the face of the Padres. We know that. We're not, he will always be the face, but they have their generational star with Soto. And unfortunately, their money is tied up. What was it, a 10-year with Tatis? Like 340?
I think it was 12 or 13 for $300 and some million.
340, I think it was, yeah. So they're stuck there. So it's not like football, you can cut them and
right.
Salary. So
I think they're in trouble that way.
All right, we're going to go to the board, but I just, you talked about in the beginning of the show, we're teams rounding into playoff form. Some of them playing their ways out. The Yankees were 1-9 their last 10. They eke out a win against the Red Sox yesterday, 1-1 now. ESPN game tonight. Walker first game back against Cy Talion, meaning which side will show up. But what the Dodgers are doing right now is just 12 in a row, all by the run line. And on Friday, we went 3-0. We had a Cardinals run line, but we're going into the team totals more. We had the Padres team total over 5.5. They get there. We had the Dodgers team total over 5.5. They get there. I had the Astros team total over 5.5 on the desk. My point here is this: is when I was doing the show with Riley and we were breaking down the yesterday's card, Dodgers team total 6.5 juiced under. And I says, well, you got to get the touchdown and extra point. That's what I've been talking about. The bastards put it up in the first.
Well, teams get hot. And, the Dodgers have been hot now for a long time. I don't know. I remember the last time I was on, they were like, 34 and, 4 or something like that over the 38 games. Some weird-ass number like that, but it was really, really good. And that's where the term regression comes from. in 162 games, teams are going to have these kind of things. Not the bad teams. The bad teams aren't going to go out and win 30 games out of 35. The good teams can, and sometimes they do. The good teams will have longer extended winning streaks of, say, 5, 6, 7 games. They'll do that 4, 5, 6 times in a season. And the bad teams will only do it once, or maybe they do it twice. But what you don't see the good teams do is have long losing patterns. They'll lose 3 or 4 or 5, or they might even go 1-9 or whatever the numbers are. But then they're just out talenting the other teams, so they turn it around. So those streaks don't last as long as the bad teams do. So the problem runs into is timing. In the middle of the season like this, and towards the end of the season where the playoff runs are happening and different things are going on, it's important to get hot, but it's not important if you're the Dodgers. Nobody's going to catch the Dodgers. So it's not important for the Dodgers. The Dodgers want to be this good when they hit September and the end of September. Because if they're not doing this right, they're going to have a hard time with the Mets. So it's just, and they might, if they have to play the Braves, they might have a hard time with the Braves. If the Braves are starting to hit, you never know what teams are going to be super hot at that time. But as a 162 game season, 161 game season, whatever, the Dodgers are the best team. There's no question the Dodgers are the best team, and it's hard to say that with the pitching staff that they got, but they are. I mean, they got a great bullpen, and they just hit. They got 3 or 4 all-stars right back to back, and they just hit. They got 3 guys batting over 300, I think, and most teams only have 1 or none. It's hard enough to get them. The league batting average is 243. So think about that. Your average hitter is 243, and if Dodgers have 3 or 4 guys in the top of the lineup that bat over 300 and hit 20 home runs, so they're just something else.
They are. And I don't want to say they're peaking too early, but we were talking about the Yankees and how they were just killing it. Well, I just want everyone to, tell you this, that the Yankees right now, what did my thing move here? Of course it did. Yankees, and I'm not taking anything away from them. 72-42, a beautiful 30 games over 500. The Dodgers are 79-33. So just basic math is 46 games over 500.
Yeah. One of the things too, and I'm going to switch my screen for 1 second, is to standings. There we go. So that's not what I wanted. I wanted those standings. So as I'm looking at some of this stuff and where things are, the Yankees are projected to win 98 games now, not even 100, when they've been over 100 almost all season. But they're 95% to win the division. They're 95% to clinch a bye. They're 100% to make the playoffs. So they're in. The Blue Jays are 93% to make the playoffs. I mean, they're in. They are projected at 90 wins, which is going to get them there. The Rays are projected at 84 wins, which is only 48% to make the playoffs. The Twins are 84 wins, and the White Sox 83 wins. So that's where your race is, because the Mariners are going to be in, and the Astros are certainly in. Astros are projected to win 102 games, by the way, so they should be the number 1 seed in the American League. And then the Guardians are now projected to win the Central, where I kept thinking the White Sox are coming. I still wouldn't necessarily think that they're not. They have the White Sox has the of the remaining strength of schedule. They have the easiest path in the American League Central, but it's not by very much. They all have easy paths in the American League Central. So So then the question then becomes, and it's been this way for a little while now, is can Milwaukee actually hang on and get there? They're not projected to. It's projected that St. Louis is going to win, but that's not by much. And then who makes the playoffs? Because according to what I'm looking at in the National League, it's cut and dried where the Phillies are going to be in, the Brewers are going to be in, and the Padres are going to be in. And then you have your division winners of the Dodgers, Cardinals, and Mets, and and the Braves are in. So ain't nobody else. But I always looked at it like one of them teams can't make it. You know what I mean? Like you can't. So it's either the Brewers and the Cardinals, loser of that thing, and the Phillies. One of those can't make it because there's not enough teams.
Yeah, going into yesterday too, the Guardians, I think they had an 8-game winning streak, and they each had 60 wins, them in Toronto. So that's why I raised my eyebrows when you said Toronto was going to be in. They have been inconsistent's a good word. Berrios is just a wood tick at this point. It looks like Manoah it's kind of hit a wall. I'm not saying he's not good. Don't get me wrong. I think he's hit a wall. Good matchup tonight. Gossman and Bieber, and Vegas has made a statement with Toronto minus 150 there. We'll get into it. Speaking of the board today, we're already almost 40 minutes in. So if you want to just take the board and you can either cherry pick, you can go over what you're seeing, what your plays are, what your leans are, anything stand out, or however you want to take this on, Scotty.
All right. So do this relatively quickly, right? Because I made 2 plays today. But there were some interesting spots. Now, you brought up that Cleveland and Toronto game, and Bieber threw a game score 79 his last time out, and Gossman a 68. Over the last 7, Bieber's a 61, and Gossman's a 59. So Gossman's turned it around a little bit since the middle time when he was getting blasted. And Bieber's just been pretty consistent most of the time. I think he got off to a little slower start, but he's built it back up, and he's doing pretty good too. Game score for the season for Bieber, 59. Game score for Gossman for the season, 57. So there's not much difference there. And what was really interesting is XFIP and Sierra numbers. Bieber wins by 0.1. So it's 2.68 and 2.88 against 2.73 and 2.68. I mean, these guys aren't giving up runs, and they're not giving up opportunities. 0.96 whip rate for Bieber, 1.1 for Gossman. So these guys are doing the job, making teams beat them. And I guess my thoughts here is that I can't tell you who's going to be the better pitcher today. I can't tell you who's going to be the worst pitcher today. I knew yesterday Sticks was going to pitch good yesterday, but I just didn't feel good about them actually winning the game because they won the night before and they beat them pretty good. This is a scenario where, okay, Toronto's offense isn't really clicking right this minute. Cleveland's maybe a little better, but they don't scare me. Cleveland never scares me, and if you throw a good pitcher at them, they're not going to score. So Bieber is going to have to be really good today and not give up any home runs and things like that. Where it could, because a 2-run homer or something could beat him, and that could be the margin in the game. So I think that my number in this game, I have Toronto favored. What's my number? My number was Toronto minus 123. I think the number's like 135 or something.
Right now it's 150, Scotty, 145, 147.
So I think you got value in Cleveland. It's a matter of where do you really want to play it or not. I mean, they got beat yesterday 2-1. And the bullpen, well, I shouldn't say bullpen. I mean, Sticks got beat late in the game. But I just think that Toronto's offense isn't been hitting, and that's the only thing that Cleveland can do is pitch. So do you really think that they're going to hit Gossman? Well, in his last 5 starts against Cleveland, he's got a game score 61. He pitched against them this year. He's got a game score 65. So he's pretty dominant against Cleveland. His ex-WOBA number is 294. That's really good. So I think to me, it's a flip of the coin where you want to bet the home team, but I'm not playing 150 in the home team. That's not going to happen. I'm certainly not going to go. Now I looked at this. San Diego got beat yesterday, 5-4, and then I looked at Snell. Now, what's interesting with Snell is that if I can get my mouse to work, Snell is pitched 14 times for the Padres this season, 14 starts. In those starts, the Padres are 4 wins and 10 losses. Holy shit. 4 wins and 10 losses. That's not very damn good at all. Now, having said that, he's got a decided advantage on the mound today, and they lost yesterday. I don't think they're going to lose 2 times in a row. So how do you bet them? Well, -1.5 is -175. So that's too high for me. I'm not going to pay that. So I'm just going to let it ride. But Snell has a game score 53 on the season. Now, if you remember, he was in the 40s all year. His last 7 starts, game score is a 59, almost like what he's supposed to be. That's like aces. He's 11.6 strikeouts per 9 innings. He is a 3.38 Sierra number. His only issue is he's still got to find the plate. He walks too many guys, 3.76 per 9 innings. So the biggest question becomes is what do you do and how do you bet it? Because I think San Diego wins the game, but I'm not going to go pay the number to find out. So if you want to pay the number and you want to pay -1.5, -170, so be it. But that's not what I'm doing. Chicago and Cincinnati, not going to spend a whole lot of time on this. Dunn is the pitcher they got from Seattle. He's not very good. He's never been very good. But Thompson's been a little rough here. He had a good middle stretch, but his last 7 is a game score of 49, and he's a game score of 47 on the season now. And both pitchers have Sierra numbers. One's over 5, one's over 6. So that's not real good. Baltimore, Tampa Bay. Lyles is off of a bad game score, but he's a bad pitcher. So it's one of those spots where you sit there and go, that's consistent with what he is. He's a game score 48 on the season. Of course, his game score was a 36 the last time out, but that's because he had a good start in there. Those last 3 is a game score 54. So yeah, that's where that regression comes in and kicks those starts down. I would expect him to have another poor start. He has not been good against the Rays. He's a game score 43 in his last 5 against the Rays. My trouble with this game is that I've got the line at the Rays -142, and hell, the number's all the way up to 165, 170. And it's the goddamn Baltimore Orioles, for God's sakes. They just fight and stay in games. So I don't think there's value here either way. I'm just going to leave it alone. I wouldn't bet on Lyles for the life of me.
Can you give me a Wander Franco update?
I haven't seen anything on Wander Franco. I don't even think he is at this point rehabbing, to be honest, at a AAA level or a double. I don't think he's doing anything. I can click a couple buttons and probably find something on him, but living in Tampa, I haven't heard anything on him. Of course, they're all talking about Tom Brady and taking 2 weeks off to go, whatever the hell he's doing. So whatever. That's the news down here, not Wander Franco.
I read, I don't know if it was RotoWire or something. Again, another guy that, we took a swing on off the waiver wire. Someone caught him hoping to catch lightning in a bottle for the month of September. I read getting close, ready for swinging, yada, yada, yada. Basically, in this article said, if all goes well, no setbacks, should be ready for September.
Well, that'd be good. I mean, they could use some offense. That team can't score any runs. I mean, that's their biggest drawback. I mean, Kluber's getting bombed, but everybody else is doing pretty well pitching wise, and Rasmussen's been pretty good for them. So I think there's a definite advantage on the mound, but at the same time, I tell you that it is the Baltimore Orioles, and we've seen what the Baltimore Orioles do. They're the best team to bet on. And it just is what it is. Now this next game is really weird to me. This is Wheeler and Bassett. Now I think there's value on the Philadelphia side today, and I like Bassett. So let me just start with that. Numbers wise, Wheeler's not dominating Bassett. So over his the last month, Wheeler's got a 309 Sierra number and Bassett's 325. So that's not a dominant thing one way or the other. There's 9.67 strikeouts per 9 innings for Wheeler, 8.4 for Bassett. So both of those are green. Those are good numbers. Both of them don't walk anybody. The whip rate for Wheeler is 0.81. The whip rate for Bassett, 107. Here's where the edge is. I don't know if people really remember where Wheeler came from. Wheeler was a New York Met. And for God's sakes, he loves to take it and stick it right up their ass. He does. He is a game score 69 in his games against the Mets. He's pitched against the Mets twice this season, and he has a game score 59 and 55. Those are great numbers. He's really loves to pitch against the Mets. Trouble is Bassett likes to pitch against the Phillies. So then you start to think, okay, well, whose offense is better? Well, the Phillies are up there in the top 5, and I think the Mets are 6th right now. So when it comes down to it, I think you're getting value in the underdog. With Wheeler, my number was Mets minus 112. And I think that number is like 135, 140, something like that. And I think that I think of all spots that you would want to take a dog, you can't really go wrong taking Wheeler as a dog when he's the slightly better pitcher. The offense is slightly better than the Mets. Plus, at this moment in time, he is a guy that hates the Mets and wants to stick it to them. So I think that matters.
Acuna out today. I just got the alert from Don Best. Acuna is sitting today.
Atlanta, Miami. I didn't really spend a lot of time with this. Garrett's been really good. I like Garrett. I just, the Miami offense, you can't bet on them. So there's no. You either look at when I look at the Miami games these days, I just look at them and go, okay, I'm going to bet against Miami. What pitcher's on the mound for the other team? And in this case, it's Elder for Atlanta. I'm not betting on Elder. Elder's just not a guy I'm going to bet on.
And the line just went from 140 to 115. There's not a lot of guys that change numbers that quick.
Yeah.
They just dropped that thing 20 cents in a hurry.
I'm not going to spend time on the Dodgers game just because it's way out of control. Anderson's on the mound against Singer, and Singer's been surprised. I shouldn't say surprising. He had a rough time last year. Prior to last year, he was really good. And he's kind of found that really good again. And the guy that's the most surprising pitcher of the day is Cole Irvin for Oakland. I mean, I don't think people know who Cole Irvin is, but he's pitched every start for the season for them. His game score for the season is 57. That's almost a 60. Over his last 7 starts, he's got a game score 67, and he's pitched against Houston 4 times this year. 4. He's got a game score 63, 68, 61, 56. He don't care if it's Houston. He's going to go out there and pitch. So do you want to bet on Oakland? Not me. I get it. I mean, this guy's really good. But at the same time that he's really good, where's my thing? At the same time that he's really good, he has made 20 starts. He's won 7 of those 20 starts. They're 7-13. Detroit and the White Sox, I'm just going to pass. Lance Lynn is pitching better than what his record shows. So just know that he's going to show through pretty soon, and people are going to go, oh shit, Lance Lynn's back. Well, he's been back. He's just been a little unlucky. Right now the number's out of control. The number's like 195, 200 or something for the White Sox. How can the White Sox be that big a favorite? Well, I guess it's Detroit. They can't score anyway. But I am on the next one. This is Milwaukee and St. Louis.
I was hoping you would kind of get to this one. Now, before, I have no idea where you are. I have no idea. Okay. I do know when Mikolas pitched in Colorado this week, we had the over 11. And in the third inning, we had 12 runs, all scored by the Rockies. I was going to ask you early in the show. First of all, they hung him out to dry. They were like, listen, first, you just got to take this one for the team. And he did it like a champ. Now, you talk about regression. You talk about bounce backs. Now, I think Mikolas has been leaking oil for a while. That's my personal take. But Vegas stamped him at minus 141. I think he bounces back. It's a big, big game record-wise because if Milwaukee wins, they are dead tied ass even with the Cards. If the Cards win, they have a 2-game lead.
So Miles Michaelis -7 game score.
Mm-hmm.
That ain't very good when you're a minus number. So that tells you you're goddamn terrible. But I like to bet on those guys that have had those problems, and especially like a teens number, a 16 or a 10 or a 12, because those numbers are instant offsets, right? So on the season, he's a game score 55. So that -7 hurt that number a lot. He might have been a 57 or something. So that equalizes the number. Over his last 7 starts, he's a game score 45. It's not very good. His numbers aren't very good, meaning that his xFIP's a 392, his Sierra's a 423. Those are average numbers. Those aren't great numbers, especially for a guy that they want him to pitch against some of the best pitchers in baseball. What I like is that he doesn't put guys on base, so they still got to earn their way on. So that's number one, and that's an important number because Milwaukee is number 18 in baseball hitting on offense, but that's minus 2.6 offensive WAR. So that means that they're still below average. Well, I guess 18th is below average. So, but they're below average going against a pitcher that's going to make them hit. On offense, they have 2 guys that are at 1 positive WAR or higher for the week. And then they have, I think, 3 or 4 guys that are below. Everybody else is in the middle. Nobody's hitting for Milwaukee. So that suits pretty good for Miles Michaelis. Now, Miles Michaelis against Milwaukee's got a game score of 55 in his last 5 starts. So above average, pretty good pitcher. Not been bombed by them. Not had the best of starts either, but what I like here is that he's due for a really, I shouldn't say due, that's not the right word. He is progression ripe. Ripe is a good word. So he's ripe to pitch a great game. And because he's ripe to pitch a great game, you have to look at it and go, well, okay, I got a pitching edge. Now, what do I have, an offensive edge? St. Louis is number 1 offense in baseball right now. Number 1. They are hitting like crazy. And guess what? Ashby is. He's a left-handed pitcher. St. Louis, number 2 against left-handed pitchers in all of baseball. They are 15-9 against left-handed pitchers on the season. Ashby has started 15 times for Milwaukee, and he's a good pitcher. I mean, he's got good stuff. He just can't win games. He started 15 times. They are 5-10 in his starts. 5-10. So they're losing 2 out of every 3 times that he starts. And this is, again, one of those spots where, St. Louis is in a position where the pitcher should be more dominant. So then you got St. Louis has scored 36 runs, Milwaukee 17. I like the idea that Milwaukee has got the better, that St. Louis has the better pitcher, has the better offense. It's at home. They're off of a loss. I think they're going to do pretty well today. I played it. My number was minus 140. That's what I played them. And my line on that game is minus 142. So it's not like the line has got a lot of value in it. I just played it that way. So I don't know if you're agreeing with that, but that's where I went. I went St. Louis.
I had that one circled overnight. I was thinking of you all along. I'm like, man, this guy is due for, second start of the week. Took one for the team in Colorado at home. And this is the biggest game of the season for both these teams, whether it's a 2-game lead or it's dead ass even. I don't know how many more games they got against each other. But as my basic math here, 62 and that's 113. So Scotty, that's 50, 49 games left. After today, 48 games left.
Let me go tell you how many games they got left against each other. The series so far is tied at 7-7. They played 19 games, so they got one series left after today. So that'll make it 15 games and one 4-game series coming up, whenever that is. It's in September. Oh, that's stupid too. It's 2-2-game series, for God's sakes. On September 13th and 14th, and then on September 27 and 28. The last 2 games maybe of the season.
Actually, I think the season ends on the 3rd. What the last 2 games in St. Louis?
Last 2 games are in Milwaukee.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, last 2 games in Milwaukee. But that was game 1 that I'm on. I was looking at this Seattle, Texas game. Gilbert's off a bad start, but Gilbert, I think, is leaking oil. He's a guy that I would tell you is leaking oil. He's getting hit. Perez, 20 game score 26 this last time. Gilbert game score 16 the last time. So expect both pitchers to pitch pretty well. Over the last 7 starts, Gilbert's a game score 43, and Perez is a game score 51. So I don't know that I want to go running out there and back Seattle here as an away favorite, even though I like Gilbert. And I think he's probably the right side. The problem that I run into is that all of his metrics are worse than Perez's metrics, and Perez in his game score for the season is a 58. So it's not, he's dropping. But at the same time, Gilbert's dropping too. So I don't know what, I'm just leaving it alone.
On that game, it's funny. We had Astros team total, I think it was, against Perez. He had a couple good innings, and then he had that blow up inning, and Houston put up, I think, a 5 or a 6 spot. The Vegas has been real good on this series. Whoever has been the initial favorite has won. So again, when I woke up this morning, kind of surprised Seattle minus 117. That wasn't the Gilbert of earlier this year, who was lights out and dominant like a Manoah. Perez, he's been good. I mean, as you said, maybe starting to leak a little oil, hit a little wall, the Perez that we know of. But I think, again, what really got me here, Scotty, was Seattle being favored.
Well, Gilbert's thrown 3 times against Texas. His game score 62, 64, 71. So he loves pitching against Texas. And he's off a game score 16. So theoretically, he should have a good time pitching today. But his last 7's a game score 43. His last 3 is a game score 28. He's a back-to-back 16-15. Those are his numbers. So when they go back to back and they have, some bad things looking like that, I tend to wait until they turn it around before I start getting on them, or I go against them and ride that little streak that's that way. I just don't feel comfortable betting on Texas. I was surprised Dunning was a favorite yesterday, by the way. That surprised me.
And they won though, didn't they?
They did. They got behind early, but they did win. Arizona and Colorado, I think Arizona's been pretty good. I'm not playing this game. I think this is Henry and Feltner. Feltner's not very good as a pitcher. I think Henry's the better prospect here. But at the same time, Colorado's offense has been pretty good over the last week. They're like 4th or 5th in all baseball. Not that Arizona's offense hasn't been decent, but I just decided, okay, I'm not going to try to analyze these 2 guys. Pittsburgh and San Francisco. This is the next game I'm actually on.
Can I vent 1 second?
Yeah.
I was looking at the board yesterday. There was nothing. They priced me out of some stuff. I thought I'd get creative, and I just going to vent. Listen, I'm 3-1 this weekend. I am happier than a pig in doo-doo. I am not complaining. But we got creative yesterday, Scotty. San Francisco Giants team total over 2.5 plus 105 on the money. First 5. Get a run in the first, run in the third. leadoff double in the fourth, guy on third, guy on second. Eight LOBs through 5 innings, lands on 2. We get hooked. I mean, 8 LOBs in a game is average. It's actually a little above average. You know, you don't want that. In 5 innings, Scotty, 8 LOBs.
Yeah, it's you know, baseball's funny that way. I mean, teams do that. You know, like today they might go and have, I don't know, 0. Who knows? I mean, they might have runners in scoring position 10 times but have 5 hits. That's the way it works. I mean, you know, just shit. So anyway, this is Thompson against Wood. Now, I had to make a decision here because I was trying to figure out if I wanted to play San Francisco -1.5 or if I wanted to play San Francisco team total over. The team total for them today is 4.5, by the way. So ultimately, I decided I did not want to trust Wood today. So that meant I was not going to play the 1.5. Now, the reason I didn't want to trust Wood today is because he's got this kind of sequence going on where he throws a good game, a bad game, a good game, a bad game, a good, like goes back for I don't know how many games. And he's off a game score 75. That's pretty good. So I'm going to guess that he's in the neighborhood of, okay, I need to throw a bad game. Now, got to keep in mind, how bad is a bad game against the Pirates, for God's sakes? So, and then I looked at the total. I think the total was 8 or something like that. And I'm like, okay, well, here we go with that same routine that I talked about, the Padres and the Nationals. So I'm like, okay, well, I just don't want to go there. So I just decided all I was going to do was look at a team total side here because Thompson is off a game score of 47. His last 3 is a 48. His last 7 is a 42. And for the season, it's a 43. He just sucks. So he's got a 4.99 xFIP, 4.73 Sierra. His ERA minus is 167. That means he's pitching 67% worse than an average pitcher. So that's hey, as long as the Giants are hitting, right? So then you go start looking at it and go, he don't strike anybody out, 5.06 strikeouts per 9 innings. That's not good. And then he's got over, he's in the red and walks, puts guys on base too. Batting average against 295, whip rate 1.58. So he's putting guys on base. They're getting a lot of guys on base. His hard hit rate is 40.2, one of the highest ones on the board today. So you're not fooling anybody. So then I wanted to go look at it from another perspective. And I wanted to look at, okay, what damage has he given up, right? And these are hard numbers to find. Pitcher ISO rates. So an ISO rate is isolated power is what it is. So in other words, they take into effect, I don't want to call them total bases, but mostly they're going to look at doubles, triples, home runs, that kind of stuff, and kind of come up with a number that says, hey, how good is this pitcher? And you want that number to be about a 180 or 170 to be about average, 160 in that neighborhood. And when I go and I pull up Zach, when I look at him for, I got to move my mouse here, for the month of, maybe I got to move my computer. There we go. For the month of August and for the month of June, against right-handed batters, his ISO number 333 in June, in August right now, it's 385. So that's more than double the damaging blows he's allowed against right-handed hitters. Against left-handed hitters, month of July, 275, in the month of August, 217. Still way high. So what that tells me is not only are they hitting him, they're hitting him for damage. So now all I got to do is verify that the Giants are hitting. Well, the Giants, flip this to my offense numbers here. The Giants right now are number 7 in all of baseball in hitting. They have 7 guys on their lineup, 7 over 1 WAR in the last week. That means they got a full lineup of guys doing pretty well. Only 3 guys out of there is not. Then now the Pirates are hitting 26, but in this case, I don't really care what the Pirates are hitting because I'm not betting on that number. So that tends for me to believe that we're going to have an over 4.5 runs. I got it at -130, so I played that. Those are the only two plays that I made. I did not then go play Archer versus Davidson. I'm not sure what to make of Davidson. He's been terrible. I think Minnesota is the right side, but I'm not paying that big number on Archer. And my number on Tyon and Waka is about what the number is. And you know how I feel about guys coming back off the IR. So that would mean I would be betting on Yankees, and I'm not betting on Yankees at this moment in time because they're the Yankees and they keep scoring 3 runs a game. So I'm not doing that. And Tyon's been better. So that he's in his good spots. So I got 2 plays. I played St. Louis minus the 140, and I played San Francisco over 4.5 minus 130.
Very good as always. Yeah, again, landmines, gold mines. It's Sunday. It's the week's complete. I'm trying to formulate the 3-team Sunday parlay, action parlay. We've had some great success. What we now do, Scotty, is we find our dog of the day. We'll take 2 favorites with it. We'll get a 1 unit, say, is $100. Usually equals 5-6 to 1. Then we'll take one of those teams and do them on the run line with the other money line with the dog of the day. Usually get around 7-8 to 1. And then we'll take the dog of the day with the other 2 favorites and use the run lines there. So we got 3 pieces, a little action parlay, have some fun pieces with it. Last week we came up short as our dog of the day faltered. But it's fun here, and I'm glad I will definitely be using the Cardinals. Last time I saw this number with Bieber plus, 140, he got lit up pretty good. Now, again, Toronto has not been hitting. As you said, Gosman has kind of taken the turn to the good side. I don't know if I want to get in there. My eyes are glued there. I think Seattle is the right side, but I don't know if I want to get in there. Perez has been, we talked about Perez. Trying to find, quote unquote, that dog of the day today. Always the hard part. You can't take the Red Sox. You don't know what Walker's going to give you. I enjoyed that game Friday. That was a hell of a win Friday. They had the opportunity again to come back yesterday, and they faltered there. So trying to find a dog of the day in this bullshit is kind of funny. I think, tough to go in there, okay? But the Phillies are appetizing today with Wheeler. But in my mindset, is that number set for just that thought, or is it the other side saying, well, it's a short number on the Mets? I mean, DeGrom was minus 200. They win 2-1 there. And the game before that, I thought we had the Phillies on our show as the dog of the day plus 180, and they beat Max. So, if you face Max one day, DeGrom the next, Bassett, you would assume, would look like beach balls.
Well, he's just that bulldog kid, man. I mean, Bassett's that kid. He's like Oral Hershiser that goes out. He don't lose. He don't want to lose. No, he does lose, but they don't want to lose. Situationally, Bassett is 13-8 in 21 starts. That's pretty good. And Wheeler is 12-9. Now I got to remember he got off to a bad start, so he's been rolling off a lot of wins. And that's sort of what I like here. What I kind of like is the idea that he just hates the Mets. So he wants to do his damnedest and go out there and he might, he doesn't normally strike out that many guys anymore, but I think he might get 10 strikeouts, goddamn. And then the Mets are a team that don't strike out. So my number was minus 112. So I think there's value there. I don't know. I just find it hard to get into some of these games, and you really got to work your butt off to find some of this stuff. But I'm pretty comfortable with where I'm at today with the 2 plays that I got. And if you were looking for a dog of the day, I think that's a pretty good dog of the day. The other one I would tell you is Arizona would be a good dog of the day too.
Yeah, Feltner is not good at all. And it was funny when you were going through that game. I'm just going to say this, and I'm not saying it sarcastically. Hats off to Arizona and Colorado in a good way, meaning, started slow, stunk, season over early. Arizona's got 52 wins. Colorado's got 51. And I scrolled through this and I looked at it. Kansas City 47, Oakland 41, Detroit 43, Pittsburgh 45. So I know you don't want to be stuck in the middle. Obviously, Washington 38, but the fact of the matter, these two teams, you know what? At least they're out there and they're fighting and they're competing each day.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's all part of it. And I think especially in Arizona, I think Troy Lovullo, I think is his name, is the manager out there, and listening to him talk and hearing what he talks about and how he's got his guys focused. They're not focused on anything but winning practices and ideas. They don't always win, obviously. They don't have the talent that the other teams do, but they're processing the game and the information and doing the things the best they can to win the games. And I don't think every team does that.
Came from the Red Sox.
He's doing a good job out there.
So next week, the regular cast of characters. Tuesday, Julian Edlow at 10:20. Wednesday, Andrew McGinnis at 1:00. Thursday, B2B Rob at high noon, beating the book. And Friday, Dan Alexander at 2:30. In between all that, some breakfast bankrolls, some closing bells. So we will get the schedule all set out, put out on our timelines as we get ready for week 2 of the NFL preseason. The third week in August. This is crazy. Third week in August, Scotty.
I'm like, holy shit, we were just watching fireworks.
Yeah, exactly. Before you know it, Scott, it's Halloween stuff, which I know your wife loves, and then here comes the Christmas stuff.
Shit, I already bought her damn Halloween outfit.
Well, you got 45 minutes, so you got to get moving. You got brunch. So with that being said, everyone, enjoy Sunday FUNday. Listen, guys, don't get caught up in the madness, the public, the degens, the quicksand Sunday, guys. Okay, if you need some action today, just sprinkle a little something and get the hell out of Dodge. Tomorrow, new day, new week, new start. Okay, listen. If you're chasing a bunch of units, don't double down. Don't triple down. There's no locks. There's no whales. I got whales out in the ocean back behind me. The locks are on the front door and the back door. Okay. So have some fun with it. Always, always enjoy. Go do something good. Beach, barbecue, cornhole. I don't care. Go down to the flea market for all I care. So go have some brunch. Go say hi to Scott and his wife, will you? From Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, from Scotty Webb at Webby20 MLB, we wish everyone a blessed day. Enjoy Family Day, guys, and we will see you next week.